Welcome to Tales from the Streets. Here's what our narrator has to say. The Bible says, to every man his own. But let me add, to every woman her own too. I am a widow. I lost my husband a few years back. He was a businessman. He would often get or buy contracts, execute them, and get paid for it. That's how we got by. As for me, I was a petty trader because my husband did not allow me get involved in any heavy business. This is a mistake most men make because it becomes a big problem for women when these men suddenly pass on. I wish I had gone into the business I wanted to do. I wish I had gone against his wishes to establish a bigger business. I wanted to go into commercial laundry business, but my husband was against it. He said I should be meeting all kinds of men who will be talking to me anyhow. I said, so what will my staff be doing? They will be the ones to deal with the customers. I won't have to be there. But he was against it. He said it would be like a beer parlor where men of every kind will be coming and going. I would have been in big business by now because at the time I wanted to start it, commercial laundry at that scale wasn't even popular in our area. I'm talking about Aripo, Ibafo area. We have 5 children. 3 were in secondary school and 2 in primary. They are good children. They were young when their father passed on. What killed him? He was diabetic. And we didn't even know. He had a sore near his scrotum that wouldn't heal. He attributed it to juju from his village. We treated it for about 2 years. Instead of it healing, it festered. And my husband refused to go to the hospital. He relied on herbs and some leaves sent to him from the village by his mother. Unfortunately, by the time he agreed to finally go to the hospital, it was too late to save him. He died at the general hospital 1 week after admission. That's how we knew it wasn't juju, but that because he was diabetic, the sore never healed. Then my real wahala started. Yes, I'm a graduate of Polytechnic, but I hadn't worked in a corporate environment for over 30 years. Where would I start? Where is the job safe? If I had started that laundry business years back, I would have been able to meet my children's immediate needs. But I was into petty trading, selling plastics, minerals, ice block in my shop. Is that what will send 5 children to school, up to university level, and put a roof over their heads? I cut off so many things I thought I was taking money from us. We rationed food, we rationed light, we rationed soap, we rationed many things. In fact, I taught my children to manage food. We lived on a very tight budget. Of course, there was still the burial to take care of. My husband's people were just dragging the process. They said they didn't have money for burial. I didn't either. What I had, I knew would be useful for my children's school fees, for food, for rent and all. Now, we were living in a 3-bedroom apartment, which I wanted to keep. I have 3 boys and 2 girls. And as much as possible, I wanted to separate their living quarters as they were growing up so fast. Our rent was due 3 months after my husband's death. I begged the landlord. My husband hadn't even been buried at that time. I asked the landlord to give us a few months to bury him, and then I'll be able to focus on getting money to pay the rent. The landlord agreed. Anyway, after 6 months, the landlord called me again for his rent, and again I begged for more days. But then the days turned into months, and before I knew it, we had done almost 1 full year without payment. Of course, during all of this, my husband had just been buried, and I was as broke as anything. I was struggling to put food on the table for my children. I was selling all kinds of things. I was selling pepper, cooking to deliver at offices, name it. I was doing everything just so that we would have food to eat, but it was never enough. One day, the landlord served us a quit notice. He said he wanted to use his flat. I broke down and cried like I had never cried before. I was crying mostly for my children. The first two were going to the university that year. I cried that there was no help from anybody around me. After I finally got a hold of myself, my landlord drew close to me. I made a proposal. He said that he will allow us stay on one condition. And what is this condition? That I begin to have sex with him. Jehovah. Me. Have sex with a 60-something-year-old man. Me. A new widow whose husband was still fresh in the grave. I was 47 years at that time. But sex. No. I said no. I said I'd rather move out of the house than have sex with him, than concede to this. He said, okay, and left after giving me 1 month notice to move. In that 1 month, I moved from pillar to post, looking for help. Where will I move my 5 children to? Who will help me rent with rent money? So we began to look for a 2-bedroom flat. I didn't get any help, and I didn't even get the money for the 2-bedroom. Then I moved my option to a 1-bedroom apartment. My sister, even that did not surface because the prices landlords were calling out was out of my reach. Time was running out with only one option staring me in the face. On that final day, I called the landlord. I told him my people would know and that it would shame him and me even more. I begged him to give me another alternative. He just put off the phone. Well, about 5 minutes later, he called back with another proposal. He said I should agree to have sex with his friend. See my life. From landlord to his friend. Well, let me cut a long story short. I said to the landlord, you will give me a receipt of 5 years' rent before I will agree to do anything. After he gave me my receipt, I agreed to meet him twice a week at a flat which he said belonged to him, and we would have sex. I would tie my wrapper when we were done, put on my slippers, and tell myself I just secured the roof over my children's head. That's the only way to cope with my emotions, my guilt, and my sanity. Yes, I'm a widow. Yes, if I have sex with my landlord, who's to blame me? But I had guilt. It's 3 years now. I have sex with my landlord twice every week. This has kept the roof over my head and my children. Whatever else I earn, I use for school fees and food. My children too do odd jobs to augment what we bring home. Today, 3 are at the university and the remaining 2 are in secondary school. My sister, anyone who has not walked in my shoes is not qualified to judge. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.